Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's had a good week. I got the exhaust fans going because we're going to be turning the laser on in a few minutes. Because we're going to actually cut a project here in real time just to show you why I do one of the techniques that we're going to talk about in this stream tonight. I did, hope there ain't nothing laying on this. Nope. So I did this week. So just a simple 3-layered piece with the wolf howling at the moon. And I got, as usual, I put up projects and then they lead to questions, and I love it, and I love answering the questions. But two of the most recurring questions was, how did I get that fur-like texture on this wolf? And I don't want to hit my mic, but how did I get that? And if you can, I'll get it in really close, and you can see it on the website. There you go. All the lines and the detail and the carving. How did I get that to happen with the laser? And in addition to that, the next question was, how did I isolate the wolf that was in the image? Because this was one image that I got off of svgheart.com, and I just took that image and created 3 separate layers out of it. And they were like, well, how'd you separate the wolf? So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you the wheres, the hows, and the whys for doing that, this fill technique, and not just for generating this texture, but I'm going to show you the project I did today was plank. If any of you have ever watched the cartoon yourself, or you've got kids, maybe you're familiar with Ed, Edd, and Eddy and Plank. And Plank is a 2x4 with a stupid expression on his face that goes on adventures with Ed, Edd, and Eddy. And I was asked to make plank. So I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, this is a really simple thing. It's just a 2x4 with them. But I'm like, I got to hobofy it. I need it to be nice. I want it to be more than just a yellow piece of board with an engraving of facial features on it. So I did it with multicolors, inlays, and put wood grain on it. It turned out really nice. I'm really happy with it. But I'm going to show you that this technique that I used here can be used in so many different types of engravings and designs. And not only is it going to help with the look of your project, but it's going to save you tons and tons of time if you start realizing how to use this and when you can use it. When will it actually add value to the overall finished product versus doing it just to be trying to save time. In my early beginning stages of laserology, one of my mentors said they absolutely hate this. They can't stand this. That always gives them irregular results, and they were never pleased with it, and they didn't like it. And if you even mentioned it, it's like, shut you down real quick. And I think maybe it's because, I don't know if they fully understood how and when to use it, but they would shut it down in a minute when I embrace it and love the features that it creates when you do it. So first, let's just talk about that setting is using offset fill. And I've got several LightBurns open. Let me find the right one. All right, here's this one. Which one do I want to show you? Yeah, let's start here. Let's talk about offset fill, when and why you would use it. I use it like when I'm doing the features on the mountain landscapes, and you've got the peaks, and you want to highlight those peaks and valleys. A lot of times, you'll just put it in fill mode and just engrave those lines in there. Well, if you start playing with your offset fill and your lines per inch, your LPI, and there's another thing in there too. It's for us Yanks, we use LPI, but those across the pond may be using line interval. It's the same thing. It's just two different ways of saying the same thing, LPI or line interval. But as you increase the LPI, you're decreasing the LPI, decreasing the number of LPIs, lines per inch, or you increase your line interval. It creates more and more spacing as it's filling that area, and it will give you different results. And that's why I will use offset fill in a design, but I may not use the exact same settings on every time I use the offset fill because it will generate different results. So I've got Plank pulled up here, and I want to show you this one specifically because if you use regular fill, I should say, if you use regular fill instead of offset fill, it will take you 10 times longer. And I'm not exaggerating, 10 times longer to do the exact same project. And using the offset fill, not only does it take it down to a tenth of the time, but it's a whole lot better looking, much better looking. So let me switch over here to LightBurn. And here is Plank. And what I have here is my cut layer. And then I've got a fill mode and then the offset fill. Ignore this inner cut. I don't know what that is. We'll get rid of that. Okay, there we go. So the cut line, the fill layer, and the offset fill. Now, they are the same settings, speed and power. The blue layer in the regular fill mode, I have it 2250 millimeters a minute and 15% power, which is irrelevant on the speed. And then we come down and look at the offset fill. That's here. And you select your offset fill in that drop-down menu. You can do your regular line, your regular fill, or your offset fill. Now, offset fill, like I say, it is 2250 and 15, and this is 2250 and 15. So if you say, okay, now I've just shown you that the speed and power and all are exactly the same. It's just two different types of fills. And because I have the offset fill set with a line interval of 120 or lines per inch of 127 or a line interval of 0.2 millimeters. So it's 0.2 of a millimeter between each line. 0.2 of a millimeter. It'll engrave, move over 0.2 of a millimeter, engrave, move over 0.2 of a millimeter, engrave. And when your spot size is a 0.08, it's going to leave just a small gap between each of those lines. So if we go and look at it, and in the regular fill, of course, is just going to be a fill mode. So first, let's look at that first. If I select this and we go over to the preview, you can see here, oh, I didn't have that set right. Let's turn off the, so let's look at just the fill. Turn off the output, or no output for the cut line. And I need to make sure I've got my number of passes the same too. One pass and one pass. And I think I may have told you wrong because earlier I looked at this and I think I had one of them inadvertently set at 2 passes. And so maybe it ain't 10 times longer, but it is longer. Watch. So same speed and power, same number of passes. This is the, I'm sorry, that's offset fill. This is regular fill. Blue is regular fill. And we look at the preview. And no, I was right. So that's all we're looking at is just that little bit of wood grain. And it's telling us it's going to be, and your comments are in the way. Let me move the comments here. 23 minutes and 13 seconds is the estimated time for this particular speed and power, 23:13. Now, if I select, so it was 10 times. So this one is the offset fill. And if I look at the preview, it's 2 minutes and 49 seconds. And I'm going to zoom in tight for you to see it. See how you get this spacing that's going on between each of those? That's 0.2 of a millimeter between each of those lines. Or if you were to have a solid inch of that, it'd be 127 lines in 1 inch. But that right there will cause you to have a different look than a complete fill because you're going to have, and it also creates these shapes depending on what your the shape of your piece looks like, because it starts with either the very inside and moves out near the distance there, 0.2 of a millimeter, moves out, and keeps doing that until you get to here, or it may start at the outside and come in. I think it goes outside in, but you get different results than just the regular solid feel. And what that will do, especially on here where I'm wanting to recreate wood grain, it leaves a little bit of the yellow still in there instead of just blacking everything out and burn it out. So it actually looks a little bit more realistic. And it went from 23 minutes to engrave that wood grain to 2 minutes to engrave that wood grain. That's a huge time saver, especially if you're going to do, and something like this, when I do these, I'll do them in a batch. I'll do, I can get at least 4 out of a sheet of the 12 by 19. So if I'm doing 4 of them and it's 20 minutes per each one, that's 80 minutes, almost an hour and a half just to engrave the wood grain, versus 8 minutes or 10 minutes with the total time there to engrave. It's a no-brainer, an absolute no-brainer. It's all the more reason you not only is it going to add character to your pieces when you know how to use it, working with your line interval, because if you don't have the line interval set just right, or the I always forget I always say line interval or LPI. I usually say LPI. But if you don't have it set just right, you can get unwanted results, which is what the other person talked about, that the reason they never used it. And let me show you the difference between the two. Let's go back over here. And I'm going to duplicate this and move it over here. And we're going to turn off the red. And I'm going to put this one on the green layer. And we're going to put it in offset fill as well. And we're going to do 2250, the same speed. Power is irrelevant, but we'll do it the same. And here I'm going to do a 0.3 and say OK. Now, if I look at that preview, it's down to still over 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes and 7 seconds versus this one of 2 minutes and 49 seconds. So it's less than a minute different, but I want you to look at the two. I'm going to click on both, and we'll look at the preview and then go in and zoom good and tight. And you can see here, well, let's look at the exact same one. Well, you can see there's a visible difference, how much darker this is than this. This one's got 1, 2, 3, 4 total passes, and this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you get more lines in there. If you keep getting the line, if you have the line interval too high, you get a whole lot more spacing, and it may not be the result you're looking for. And let's go back here and let's take this on down to a 0.5. That's this is going to be really drastic. That's a 0.5 millimeter, and that sounds crazy. This is going to be drastic. It's only a 0.5 millimeter, 0.5 millimeter, which is tiny, but it's a 0.5 millimeter line interval. And that 0.5 millimeter line interval is going to change it to look pretty shoddy. You're only getting 2 lines there, 1 line, and that would be really noticeable. It's not going to give you a good engraving look, and you'll just see 2 lines and it won't look good. So you have to get comfortable with your laser, the product that you're using. The more this you do and the more familiar you get with it, you'll almost know without having to test what's going to look good for the look you're after. But you can set this in your settings like I just did, and then go in and look at the preview and see what it's going to look like. And I can't remember, did I have it Well, I did the same thing on the moon with the offset feel. And because those are mostly round, it gave pretty even and consistent, intervals with just a 0.2 millimeter offset. So you don't see any gap or anything. It's when they have points and angles, it starts giving you some really funky shapes. And that's why, and I use it all the time. It's my go-to for doing mountains. I don't even do it when I'm doing it for mountains. I'm not doing it for the time saving. I could care less about how much time it saves. It's about let's see. Yeah, I can show you on this. This is the fish we did last week, and I did the offset feel on the mountains. And using the offset feel on the mountains, so you get all those different results and different lines. There we go. Those are really crazy as far as varying angles and lines. That would have been a normal engraving, that would just been solid. In this case, if I would have had the power high enough, it would have been solid black. But I did it faster and just fast enough. There we go, to get the line burnt into the wood and cause a discoloration. But using that offset feel, get me in focus. My hands are shaking tonight. It gives character to those pieces where just a regular feel wouldn't do that. And I recommend playing with that setting and different shapes and see how it affects it. But it will pay off and add character to your pieces if you learn to embrace offset feel and know how to use it correctly. So I want to. There was also a question about how did I isolate that wolf on the Howling at the Moon, and I'm going to show you that. But before I do, just to show you I ain't yanking your chain, and also show you another feature. I've talked about this in a previous piece about how I use my skeletons and organize my skeletons. And I'm going to do that now. I haven't cleaned these up yet. These need to be cleaned up, but they've been assembled but not cleaned. This is one of my planks, and you can see all my nasty fingerprints everywhere. There's another plank, and we're going to clean those up here in a little bit. But I'm going to engrave one of these. I've already done 3 of these, but now I want to do the 4th one in real time for you to show you how quick this is and how well this offset feel works, and show you my skeletons, how I do this skeleton. So go back over here to LightBurn, and I'm going to get rid of all this. Everything's gone. I don't have anything on the workspace. It's all out of here. But if I go to my art library and I go to my skeletons, I've got a skeleton here, and it's called Plank. And I'm going to make sure it's all grouped and put it in the corner. There we go. And this, turn on that red layer. Oh, that was from that previous piece. Let's do this. Let's get rid of this. Go back to my art library, bring in Plank. There we go. Make sure all of that is grouped and put it in the corner. There we go. I had those others left over because I had the layer turned off and didn't see them. But here, I've got a skeleton. This is my 12 by 19 piece of MDF from Craft Closet. And I've already cut these 3 out. They're gone. So now I know exactly where this next one needs to go. So all I have to do is find my skeleton. It's got 3 pieces cut out of it. Drop it right in the home position. That's all I got to do. Get my laser reset. She's going to the home position. Still slightly out of focus. My hands are shaking so bad tonight, it ain't even funny. That's better. Better. All right. All right. Let's see. I got some questions and comments here. Offset and offset fill use the same code block, just a different scale. Oh, the offset tool and the offset fill use the same code. Gotcha. Is that what Chris said that you wanted me to recognize? Yeah, and you know, I'm really horrible about self-promotion. But guys and gals, it makes a huge difference when you hit the like button. You're already subscribed. You're already possibly a member on the website. But taking that half of a second and clicking on that like button, it makes a huge difference in the world of YouTube. So I need to be asking you, hit that like button. When somebody puts it in the comments, if you haven't done it, hit that like button. If there's 60 of you watching here right now, you've got other places you could be right now, but you're here. You chose to be here because you're either hoping to learn something or you will learn something, and you enjoy the company of all the old farts that are here in the comments. And let's turn the comments back on. There we go. So hit that like button because there's somewhere else you could be, but you're not. You're here. Why? Because you like it. All right. No, not what he was saying. I had no idea what Chris was saying. Okay. Yeah, so the offset tool over on the right side of your menu here, the offset tool and the offset fill is using the same code, block of code, that same information to generate those patterns. So when you tell it to do an offset of a half an inch or half a millimeter, well, that's what offset fill is doing, but it's just doing it over and over and over and over and over and over again until it's filled in. That's what he's talking about. I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about. All right. Well, Ed, I'm glad to hear it. So, all right. So I just placed that skeleton on the laser bed, reset my laser. It's homed. I've got the skeleton dropped into the home position. So now I got to select this piece right here. Is it all grouped? It is. I got to ungroup it so I can select that. All right. Got that selected. I can look at my preview. It's telling me 12 minutes and 54 seconds. And if you remember a minute ago, if we had it on regular fill, just the engraving was going to take over 20 minutes. So here we're going to have this whole thing cut out and done in under 13 minutes. And that looks good. I'm going to double check my cuts and layers. I do have my engrave first and then my cut. And that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and send this. And that's going to be working. And while that's working, I'm going to go over here and we're going to talk about how did I isolate the wolf? Because this wolf is on a separate layer here. It's a third individual layer. But on the image you're getting ready to see, it's just one solid image. How did I get that? That was a question that was brought up by several folks in emails this week. The most common or the most asked question was, how did I get the fur texture? Well, the offset fill is how I got the fur texture. So let's go back over into LightBurn. Let's find a different window. And before I do that, before we shift gears into this, I had, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but someone shared a one of their finished pieces they did, and it was really nice. It was a very nice plaque. But something that before I make and put a thumbnail up to let you guys know what the topic's going to be about tonight, or any of the videos I do, I run that thumbnail that I create through AI and ask it to evaluate it. What could be done better, and how can I improve the CTR, the click-through rating? What's going to make people stop and actually click on it? How can I make it better? So I've been doing that with every image that I create to make sure that it's optimized for search engine optimization and for maximum CTR. So what have I learned by doing that? I've done it so many times now. Less is more. Fewer words, the fewer words that you can use to convey the same thing, the better off you are. So if I could learn how to speak intelligently, these hour-and-a-half streams could be cut down to 45 minutes. But I digress. We are what we are, and we're going to be here as long as we have to be. But he shared a finished piece with me, and it was a bulldog, and we all love our pets. And he had a big old bulldog up there, and it said, we all know who the real boss is. We all know who the real boss is. And if you've got a fur baby at home, feline, canine, or whatever, even if it slithers and has scales, you know what we're talking about. They rule the house. And it looked good, but less is more. And so I sent them back this suggestion, and I want to show it to you because this is something that took me a while to fully grasp, but the more I do work with AI and these thumbnails, I'm starting to see it, and it makes much, much more sense. So he had, we all know who the real boss is. And I said, this would look so much better. And it says the exact same thing, but with fewer words. And you put your image of your dog up above it, and it looks really, really nice. Now, the trick is, I wanted boss to be big. In fact, and the other thing too is his was in all caps. All caps are hard to read. The human eye does not like to read all caps. Plus, it's screaming. Don't use all caps. Capitalize the first letter of each word. And then this one I did all caps, but not only all caps, but all caps and bold, because it's the joke. It's the punchline. But I wanted this to be all the same size. So, and we're going off, I'm hoping that you guys learn a whole lot of different things tonight, and we're going to be all over the place. But this was something that just came just before going live tonight. And I said, well, this is a good teachable thing too. Let's see here. Why does my actual time take much longer than my estimated time? James, if you haven't read from your controller, there is a step that you have to do to where you can go in LightBurn, and I guess it sends signals back and forth, and it monitors how long it takes to do this or that, and you can adjust your estimated time in LightBurn. That's way up here for me. It might be something that maybe I need to do a video on. I've done it, but I don't remember doing it. But it is an estimated time. And if you have not synchronized, or if you haven't calibrated that estimator, then it could be way off. But it is strictly an estimator, and it's not going to be perfect. But if you've synchronized or calibrated that estimator, it can get really close. But you may go into LightBurn's online help, and you'll search for time estimation, and it should be able to tell you in there how to go in and read from your controller to get that calibrated as close as possible. And what Chris says, You need to match your settings to match the ability of your actual laser. It is an estimation at best, but with effort, you can get it pretty close. Yep. I've had cats and dogs. I've had cats and dogs at the same time briefly. And they can live in peace and harmony together. But yeah. And cats are truly the boss because cat don't need you. Cat don't want you unless you go out and need your food in its bowl. Where a dog, it needs attention. Cat can care less as long as you got food in its bowl. All right. So how do we make this look like this? Well, if you start out with text and we put in here, we don't want capital, we all know. All right. Then I need another line of text because it's going to be a different size. So you need a separate line of text, the real. And then I need another line of text, and it's going to be boss. And it's going to be all caps. And I'm going to do it in bold. All right. So now I've got these three different pieces. Let's center them all up. Now they're centered. And let's move these two up a little bit. Right now, the spacing is irrelevant because I really need to play with the size. So how do I get these all the same? Well, this is how I do my crosses. When I do the Amazing Grace cross or any of those crosses where the text will form the shape of the cross, but this might be one word. This one's two words. Same thing here. We're going from 3 to 2 to 1, but you need it to be all in that same area. Well, you look at this one and you look at the overall length or the width rather, and that width is 6 inches. So grab this one, aspect ratio locked, and tell it to go to 6 inches. And you come down here to this one, same thing, aspect ratio locked, tell it to go to 6 inches. And now you need to fix your spacing and get it to where you don't even have to be exact with it. If you take this and I'm going to move it up to about there. And so that distance is closer than that distance. But if I want the entire thing to be about that height, right about 4 inches, once I select all of them, I can tell it to distribute evenly horizontally with spaces between them. And that'll move that into its position where it needs to be. And then if it's just way too big, all I got to do is just scale it down as a whole. So there you've created 3 different lines of text. They all taking up the same space. It drives home the point of that punchline. We all know the real boss. And these, the person that shared with me their image, shared with me their work. They didn't ask for feedback. I hope they took it with, because it was really nice, but this makes it better. Less is more. And using instead of trying to play with the height of your font, set it to where okay, well, I've got my we all set. If you're working with a plaque, if you're working with a 5x7 plaque, and you've got the we all know put right in where you need it to be, now you've got your fixed width. You know what it needs to be. Now you can set the next 2 lines to match up with it. Bob's your uncle. It's done. Okay. Now, how did Sharon? I think Sharon says she's late. Sorry, I'm late, daughter. Well, Sharon, you're going to want to go back and watch this from the beginning because I'm pretty sure you were one of the ones that asked about how I got the fur-like technique. I had several emails come in about that, and I've already discussed that in the beginning of this. And I'm doing it now in real time. Actually, it's already cutting out. It's finished the engraving. So when we get done, you're going to want to go back and watch to this point where I said, hi, Sharon. Once you see, hi, Sharon, you've seen the rest of it because you're already here. Hi, Sharon. All right. So now let's go on to, do you want to discard by? All right. How did I isolate the wolf? That was another question. And this one is a little bit tricky because of the original design and the way it's drawn, but it wasn't too terribly hard to figure out. And I'm going to show you how I did that. So let's switch over here. Let's go away from plank. And there we go. Howling at the Moon. All right. So if you download the file, Howling at the Moon, you get these 3 layers. But this up here was the original artwork that I started with. And let's put it in fill mode and show you. There we go. So there is the original artwork. And I needed to get the wolf off of that, separate him so that he is on a layer all by himself. Problem with that was part of the wolf, his head, you'll see in a minute, is also the same line that's the moon and part of the trees. So it wasn't as simple as just grabbing the wolf. I had to modify part of the SVG before I could do the next step. So this first part that you're going to see, you may not have to do it, but if you do run into this, you need to know what to look for and how to isolate it to be able to capture everything that you need. And there is an underlying theme to all of the things we've talking about tonight. Oh, and I'm going to be giving away one of my planks tonight. Now, these I make, and I'm selling these $20 a piece. It's made out of, the MDF I get from Craft Closet. And the yellow sheet, a 12 by 19, I can get 4 planks out of. So 4 planks, it's $80. One sheet of that, I think, we'll have to go look. I can't remember. In fact, no, I can't remember right now off the top of my head. We'll go look and see what it is. But it's a far less than $80. And the eyeballs and the mouth, that's also out of the MDF, but I can find skeletons that I can cut those out of. So that's almost, free. But back to the wolf. How do we get the wolf off? How do we get the wolf off of that image? So let's go back into line mode and let's select this. And there we can see, I don't have this selected. I've got the trees, and the trees come up and do that. Then almost the entire head of the wolf. And it's also part of the moon. Well, I don't need or want all of that. So what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for a place or 2 places that come very close to each other that I can cut and join these together so I can get rid of the rest of it. And I can see up here at the top, I can join the ears right here. And down here, I can join it right here. And this is so easy to do. If I just grab my pencil and just draw a line rather, there, and come up here and draw a line there, and then go and grab my scissors and cut away this I don't need down here. Go bye-bye. There, got rid of all of that. Now I've got just the wolf and the ground down here. So I can come back up here, grab my selector tool, delete that. I'm going to get rid of everything that's not part of the wolf. Delete that, and that. So now I've got that part of the wolf. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and join these together. I'm going to get rid of this and this. And here, clean that up a little bit. And actually, I've got enough already to do what I want to do, but we'll clean this up a little bit more. I think this is all going to work. Because now I've got all of that. You with me so far? So I've isolated the wolf and got rid of all the tree and the moon. But this is not a complete wolf. This is part of a wolf. This is, part of a leg. Well, if you select the entire thing, then come over here to your offset tool and do an outward offset, outer shapes only. And let's do a 1 millimeter. Come on. There we go. All right. One's way too big for the size I'm at right now. Or I'm in inches. Cancel that. Let's go back to millimeters. Go to offset tool. Do not delete the original. Do outward, do round, do outer shapes only. And let's start with 1 millimeter. Now, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for one solid outline. And we see here that that head is still, and this is separate. See how it's a separate piece? We want to get it out here to where it's connected. So I'm going to keep increasing the size of my offset until there. Now I've got, those are all joined all the way around there. That's joined. That should be a solid outline of the wolf. And that's a 3 millimeter offset. I don't want a 3 millimeter offset. I want a 1 millimeter offset. But I had to go 3 millimeters in order to get one constant line. So this goes back to what we talked about in the video I did last week when offsets fail you. Offset wasn't enough at 1 or 2. We had to go to 3 to get a complete piece. Now we're going to go back to 1 millimeter. So I've got 3 millimeters. I'm going to say okay. Do not delete that. But if you look in here, everything that's got ants chasing around it, that's the original artwork. Anything that's a solid line is an offset of that. So if we look, you can see this is original, but this is an offset, and this is an offset. I don't need this inner stuff in here. All that's trash. Anything that's inside here is trash. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to tell it, okay, give me my 3 millimeter offset that's everything connected on the perimeter, and say, okay. Do not delete your original. Okay. Now, when you say okay, all of those offsets are grouped. Hit ungroup. Then, with everything is still selected, you hold your control button and click on that outer piece, because that's the one you want to keep. And now simply hit your delete button. And it gets rid of all that garbage you didn't want. And now we're going to take that original offset, or that offset we just created that was 3 millimeters, come back to the offset and do an inward offset of 2 millimeters and tell it to delete the original and say, okay. And now I have a 1 millimeter offset around that entire wolf. And that, if I put that in fill mode, I didn't have that closed. So I've got to go back in and close that shape wherever it's down here. So let's see. Go to node editing. Yep. All right. So that's open there. And that's open up here. So I got to close that up, but I don't want to lose. Let me go back in here to that. Okay, there's that. We'll try. I did this earlier in the week because I can't remember right now what I did. I don't know if I just broke this and connected them. We're going to do this though and see if it gives me a result I want or an unwanted result. But that's how I separate the wolf. I'm going to insert and break. Now that that's broke, I'm going to come down here and connect that there and up here. I'm just going to break it here, break, and connect that to that. And Alt-Shift-W, they didn't close it. Oh, that's still open. And I can't see the forest for the trees right now. All right, that's a solid piece. I need to keep, let's do, where to go? There it is. Insert, break. Insert, break. That one's still not working for me. That's open. Boom, Bob's your uncle. I'm getting lost in the woods here, in the weeds. I just can't see it right now. You got to find those two shapes and close those shapes up so that it will do what it's supposed to. I've done it. I can do it. I just ain't doing it right now. Why? Because we're live. Yeah, and Chris says change your offset to a different layer so you can see them and they're more obvious. And when you're first learning to use that offset tool, and that's a great way to make sure you can see, hey, well, that's the offset. But you'll get, if you start using it enough, you'll know. But it's a great way to keep it straight when you're just getting started. All right. I'm going to come back to this maybe. I want to move on to the assembly of this plank because here we go. To save time, I've already cut out the other colors from the other skeletons. So if I go over here, grab my plank, and I need 2 pieces of the eyeballs. And here we go. And I got my red rings and my blue eyeballs. Now, I can turn that off. In order to make this work, in order to make this fit really, really nicely, when I did my cutting, we go in and look at my cut layer. I have a outward 0.11 millimeter outward offset. Now, I think my perfect kerf with the Rolly 10 watt is a 0.12, possibly even a 0.13. I think it's 0.12. But I did just slightly less than my perfect kerf. So when I take this and I go to assemble these, they're going to go in very tightly, so much so that I'm going to probably have to hammer them in. And it's going to be such a tight friction fit that very little glue is even going to be needed. I'm going to put some on it, and I'm going to show you how I do it, but after I've assembled it. Now, this particular design, Plank, if you're familiar with Plank, he's just a 2x4 with a face, and there's nothing about him that's symmetrical. Nothing. So they only go together one way. But I'll take and line that up, and I can. It started to go in. It's in. I can press. It's you hear it snapping together. It's tight. It's not flush yet. I have to hammer it flush, and then put in the next one. And like I said, it's not symmetrical. It only goes together one way. There we go. And got my red rings in there. Then I got to put my yellow inserts that were from the same original cutout. Put those in. Now that's even tighter. I'm going to have to hammer that. Just going to get them all started. And then we'll get the rubber mallet out. But I cannot get these to press in by hand. Hammer time. and that's the way you want it. When you're doing friction fit and you get your kerf just right. And when you're doing inlays, especially something like this, you need them to be tight. If you do no kerf at all, they're just going to fall in, fall out, fall in, fall out. And you can't do that. You can't have that. So where is my smile? Oh, got my smile. Get my smile in there. He's just drop in place. And it's upside down. So let's get it in the right position because he's not symmetrical. There we go. And now, there it is. And I'm sorry, I can't remember who. One of you guys made this for me, and I used the heck out of this. This is my Hobo with Wood, my little rubber. It's a 3D printed mallet. And I'm going to go over here to my butcher block and just tap these down. Those are tapped in place. Now he's looking pretty filthy. I need to put his eyeballs in, his pupils. Okay, so that's on the left, so it's the right. And they are not symmetrical either. They only go in one way. There we go. And you can just get it started, and I'll have to tap it in. Oh, I just dropped it. That ain't good. Oh. Yeah, I see it. But now I don't know which way's up. But this one is a little bit more symmetrical than the other one. Now go to the hammer. Now, and I'm going to show you another trick on this too about the wood grain. But right now, look how filthy he is and disgusting. The black, the char, it's everywhere. I'm going to get out my special sauce. I want you to look at the mouth. See how black and charred up. And I got my clean, lint-free rag. My special sauce. Wipe down the perimeter. Clean up the back. Make sure my hands aren't filthy. Nice, glossy, cleaned up, no char, no excessive burning, no glue. But how I glue this up, because I want this modern day SpongeBob. Those are not going to go anywhere. But if someone wanted to actually use this like a real plank and carry it around with them and take plank on adventures, and it's exposed to different humidity levels and bounced around and jarred around, those could eventually pop loose, especially if they were tossed in the seed, up on the dash, whatever. So I want to put a little glue in them to keep them secure. So on the back side doesn't have the wood grain on it. The glare. There you go. You see the wood grain? No wood grain. I'm going to take my wood glue and I'm going to go right on the very top surface around the perimeter of each of the red pieces and on the smile. And I am not worried about it being pretty. I got glue everywhere. But now I've got a really nice glue spreader that also was sent to me. I can take this and push that glue into the crevices and into the recess, any voids that are there. Just press that glue in, push it in good and tight. Fill them up. And do it on all of them, including the pupils. I'm pushing it into because even though that kerf was very, very tight and I had to hammer it in, there was some small voids there. In fact, before I put the glue on there, if I was to hold it up to the light, you can see small areas of light penetration. But once I put this glue in here and spread it on there really good and press it into those voids, you'll see no light penetration. That glue is going to go in there and fill those voids up. You're not going to have to worry about that popping out. Once you got it like that, you push it all in, spread it all in. Just take your rag and wipe it down, wipe it off. Clean that excessive, the remaining glue off there. And you're not going to be pressing hard enough to get it out of the voids. And you're done. That's glued up. This Craft Closet MDF has really, really impressed me. I used to use nothing but that Freiler Baltic birch for years, but I'm really starting to embrace this. And hobowithwood.com/craft closet will get you there. And if you start using this and playing with it, you'll get it as addicted as I am. All right. So now I've done this. I've got it assembled. Everything's glued up. I forgot I needed to personalize it. I needed to add something to the back of it, or I want to put my logo on it. Dadgummit. And it's irregular shaped. It's got all these curves on it. I'm never going to get that lined up and centered up. Yes, I am. Craft Closet. hobowithwood.com/craft closet. All right. So now this is how easy this is to make any modifications or any additions to this. And I'm going to show you the wood grain, how I got the wood grain on here. And that is something I've shown you in the past, but a lot of you may have already forgot about it or didn't get to see it. But I have on the laser, not anymore, but I've got my skeleton here. This will fit in there and I can put it in where I need, but I want to do the back side. Okay. Flip this over. Put it in the home position. Put him in there where he'll fit. Turn the laser back on. And reset my laser reset connection. That's done. Laser is homing. And I have it in the first position, but it's not all the way up against the side. So I'll swap back over. That I put him right back in that position he came out of, but I need to flip this whole thing. I'm going to group it and then flip it. There's where he's at. I can now take this, ungroup it. I'm going to put this one on a toolpath, and I'm going to get rid of everything that's in here. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Hold control and get that, and now delete everything. There we go. So there's an outline of my plank. Go to my art library, and I'm going to grab a logo, and I'm going to tell it to go to the, we'll go to the very center. But then I'm going to tell it to come down right there. And double check my settings because I'm still in offset fill. Let's put it in fill. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to slow it down to 800 and say okay. And actually, I need to change my LPI to let's see, 0.1. There we go. Now, because I have put him back in that skeleton, serving as a jig, I flipped my jig in LightBurn. Everything's placed right where I want it to be. I've centered my artwork up. I don't have to check anything. I've got my layers and speed set right. All I got to do is hit start. Don't have to worry about nothing. It's going to be exactly where I want it to be. Perfectly centered. Piece of cake. Da, 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 da. Y'all being bad. All right. I love seeing that. Terry, we've been all over the place tonight. Been all over the place, but boy, you say you learned 8 things. That's great. I love it. But I want to show you about this wood grain because I've got some wood grain, but it wasn't perfect for this file. I had to do some heavy modifications to it to make it look right for plank. And while that's engraving, let's go over here and look at that. I'm going to grab one of these, duplicate it, bring it up here. And if I go back to my art library, and this is something you're probably not going to have because I haven't shared it with any of the members yet. And because it's not enough for me to do that because it's one artwork, one piece of artwork. But if I go down to my wood grain, I've got 4 planks in here. And if I bring those up here, and if I look at this right now, this is 10 inches high. So with the aspect ratio locked, and tell this to go to 10 inches high. So now they're the same height. But if I put that in the engrave mode, there we go. See how heavy all that is? That is way too heavy, and it's going to be too much. It's going to be distracting. I don't want it to be, I want it to be just enough to add character to the piece and make it nicer than just a yellow sheet of like, there we go. This is perfect. That with no wood grain on it. I haven't cleaned this one up, but that versus that is night and day difference. Those little things make all the difference in the world. That is a easy $20, $25 piece. You know, your kid could do that in kindergarten. So how do we make these super, super bold lines that are too heavy and too domineering for plank work. I need to flip this plank because that's the way he is original. All right. And then I need to look and see, well, which one of these versions do I like best? And I like this one. So this is the one I'm going to make work over here. So I'm going to get rid of all these. And then if I take this, I made it to go 10 inches. And if I bullseye it, you'll see it's not quite big enough. So I'm going to bring it on out. And we'll go ahead and stretch just the width a little bit. And then I'll come up here. I'm going to grab, let's see, go to Alt-Shift-W so I can go into line mode. I'm going to grab the outline of plank. I'm going to duplicate it. So there's two of them. There's two toolpaths there. I'm going to select the wood grain, hold Shift, and select one of those toolpaths, and then go into Tools and Cut Shapes. Alt-Shift-C. Now you can see what's selected is the outer perimeter. Just hit the delete button, go away. So now I've got that. That's the perfect size that I need for a plank. But if I go back to fill mode, that's still way too heavy. Way, way, way too heavy. I don't want all of that wood grain on the face of this. So to make, oops, I moved it. Go back to, that's selected. To make these less prominent, I'm going to come over here to the offset tool. I'm going to go back to millimeters. There we go. And go to offset tool. And I'm going to do a 0.02 inward offset, deleting the original object. Say okay. So I'm deleting the original, inward round, 0.02 millimeters, and okay. Now I can see that's less, but it's still too zebra-y. Is zebra-y a word? Too zebra-y? If it's not, it is now. It's too zebra-y. So since I just did a 0.02 inward offset, all you have to do is hold the control button and click on the offset tool again. And just keep doing that. And I'm just rapidly clicking it. I'm just click, 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 click. And it's bringing those lines down and down and down and down. And if you go too far, they start to separate and get too small in some areas, and some areas are still too big. So what I did was when I get in too little, I would do Control Z, undo and bring those back. Then ungroup it all. And then these ones that are still too big, grab those. The ones that are too large in areas, and Control Offset. And it keeps bringing those down and bringing them down, getting smaller and smaller. And just like the text a minute ago, less is more. It needs something. That looks awful blank. It needs something, but all it needs is this. And if you look, these are not black. I did not use a lot of power, and I used the offset fill mode and a low power, so it just highlights it, just marks it, gives it a little distinction. And then if you still hadn't got all of them down to where you want them to be, you can keep playing with them, holding control, and just start clicking, 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 making them smaller. And then if we get to looking, because we're doing all these offsets, it doesn't go all the way out anymore. So come back over here to your cuts and layers, turn off your toolpath, Grab all of that, group it back together, turn on your toolpath, duplicate your toolpath, Control D, duplicate it, then grab your wood grains and just stretch it out. Hold Shift, select one of those. Alt Shift C is cut shapes, Alt Shift C, and delete. And now you have filled it out to the edges where it needed to be. And you've got these really thin wood grains from those super heavy, overburdensome zebra wood grains. I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. 4, 4, 6, 9. Terry's learned a lot. This has been good. This has been good. Very good. Love it. I love it. I love it. I've run out of fingers and toes. Excellent. Well, listen, guys and gals, all of you guys, lots of you learning things tonight. Every one of you should have hit that like button. Now, you can't hit it more than once. You can, but it doesn't matter. But everybody should go hit that like button. This has been a good live stream if all of you guys have picked up on a lot of things. But now I've got this is already done and finished. I've been handling it and getting char all over everything again. So let me clean this up again. Clean rag, my special sauce. And we're going to give this away. I have no idea what it will cost to send this thing to Australia or England or wherever it needs to go, whenever it needs to go. But I ain't worried about it. But I did not check for any alignment. I dropped this in place on the skeleton, flipped the skeleton, made sure everything was lined up the way it was supposed to be, centered up my artwork, placed it where it needs to go, and it's centered up right on the back, and I've got my logo on the back and bottom of this. Now, I could, and I might, because no, I'm not. It's not that I might. I am going to do this. In fact, I'll do it right now while we're doing the giveaway. Plank. Plank is a character in a cartoon, Ed, and Eddie. And Plank goes on adventures. All right. Well, if you were going to use this as Plank and go on adventures with Plank, then here he's dressed. Here he's naked. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this, drop it back down on there, and I'm going to put the wood grain on the backside. So that way, if Plank is actually carried around, it's like, hey, Plank was going on a adventure. Hey, he ain't naked. But the person who requested this was going to just hang it on the wall, so they didn't have the wood grain on the back. But I'm going to put the wood grain on the back. That way, it's a fully finished piece. And this is what I love about the Rolly. The precision, the repeatability. Everything's in its fixed place. I know I don't even have to think about it. Don't have to question anything. I'll take this and just drop it right back in here. Come back over here to LightBurn. We're going to get rid of this. And we're going to get rid of this. And let's see. Where actually, you know what? I might go back to my original skeleton. Yeah, I go back to my original skeleton. Let's bring this one in because I've got that in there already. Let's group all of that. Flip it. Get rid of all this. Take this one, put it in the home position, ungroup it, go back to my cuts and layers, turn off the cut, no output. I want to do this in 2250 at 15% and 0.2 millimeters. Yep. Say okay. Offset fill. Done. Go check it. That's what I want. Say okay. And start. Oh, I got to reset the computer. Reset the connection. All right, that's reset. And now hit start. So now it's putting the wood grain on the back. Oh, and look at that. What's it? Chris, do wood grain on the black as well. Add a hole so it can be. There you go. Let's see here. Go back up here to look. I'm trying to go back up here. I missed a whole lot of questions and comments. I don't want to miss anybody. All right, I got hammer time. Done. Am I done with RC Cola? I'm actually done with all dark colas. I'm cheating tonight. I've got one of the worst ones you can do. I've been going strictly caffeine free. No dark colas and caffeine free. But I didn't have time to grab my Sprite tonight. In fact, I was about 45 seconds late going live. I just didn't have time to grab a Sprite, and this was one of Dad's drinks, and he will know it's missing. Price of the MDF is $6 a board. All right, so $6 a board on the craft closet. $6 a board. I'm getting 4 of them out of there and sell them for 20 to 25. With the engraving on the back, I would make it 25. So that's $100 out of a $6 piece of material. Yes, please. And okay, that's y'all's conversation. Got that comment. I have the link for the hammer if you want to post it for those who have 3D printers. Oh, Scott, did you send me that hammer? Brother, I love that hammer. I love that hammer. I use the heck out of that. I use that hammer more than I use my tack hammer. I have my tack hammer laying here. The tack hammer is a metal 4.5 ounce tack hammer. Where? That's how often I use it. I just had it. But because it's the metal tack hammer, it can leave indentations in your wood, and that's not a good thing. But this thing is perfect. It's perfect. I love it. And if I guess, I hesitate, Scott. One, is it something that you paid for? Did you buy the file? If you bought the file, I would not feel good giving the file away. If it's something that you designed, then and it's something that can be given freely, then it is something that if you wanted to email me the file, I could. I don't have a 3D printer yet, but I could put it on the website for a free download. That would be the easiest way to put it in one location that everybody can access, but only if it was something that either you designed or it was 100% free and you have the right to give it away. I don't want to put it on my website and have somebody come up and say, hey, man, that's my hammer. I've already been through that with another idiot, and I don't want to go through that again. So if it's free to be given, I'll be glad to put it on the website. 3D, there we go. Do grain on the back. Yep, got that. And Zebra is not recognized word in standard English dictionaries. It appears to be a misspelling of terms related to zebras, such as zebrine, adjective meaning zebra-like. Okay, well, Kilroy, if I was to say, oh, that's zebrin. Yeah, zebrin. It's very zebrin. Ain't nobody gonna know what I'm talking about except for them highfalutin educated Oxford fellers. They know what zebrin is. But if I said zebra-y, everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's zebra-y. Does he ever say what the plank? What the plank? I don't think plank actually says anything. If that's what you're talking about. He will put you over his knee and whoop you for taking his. Oh, well, you know, he actually won't, because I'm the one that goes and buys them. All right. Okay. Now, it's already done. And it needed that. It definitely needed that. So now we've got the hobo with wood, got the wood grain on the back. We've got the wood grain on. Yes, it needed that big time. So 20 a piece is what I did for the first one, but now with this on the back, it's $25. And that looks so much better. Even if you were going to, just leave it up on a shelf somewhere that somebody was going to see, just, in a bookcase or something. But if I picked it up and looked at it and say, oh, that's cool. And it's finished now. It wasn't finished before. Now, something else that I made mention to the person I supplied the first one to was that if he was actually going to be taking Plank on adventures and Plank was going to be handled and tossed around a lot, then it would probably be a good idea to cut out another Plank without the cutouts and glue it up so it's twice as thick. It's going to be more substantial, and that's going to really secure and glue those inlays in place. So I've got this file on the website, Hobo with Wood. Some of you have already got it. Some of you already made it. But if you really want to really beef it up and secure those, cut out another perimeter minus the facial features and glue up that back piece on there, and then do that. And that'd be a really solid piece. And then I would say, $30. And you might even have, options. But, if you did it doubled up, you're only going to get 2 per sheet, and you get 30 a piece. That's only $60. If you get 25 a piece for this and 4 of them, you're getting $100. So you're really cutting into your profit that way. And I don't see selling these for 50 a piece doubled up. So I would make sure your kerf is right. If you don't know your kerf, you've got to learn your kerf. I've got videos in the Hobo with Wood channel. You can search, use the magnifying glass to search for kerf, Kerf, and to teach you how to find your perfect kerf. I've got lots of kerf videos out there. But getting a really tight friction fit, knock it, bang it in, hammer it, and then glue it in, you'll be okay with a single thickness like this. Because at 4 at 25, it's $100. I'm not going to get 50 out of them to get the same return on my investment. So I would do that. Let's see here. Kevin, I might would like playing with the 3D printer. I pursued a few of the guys in the a year ago or before about a few manufacturers about possibly doing some demos. I I do not see the value in a hobbyist 3D printer. I see tremendous value in a 3D printer for mocking up pieces for testing and engineering and fitment and all that, and to make a quick prototype of a tool or I can see it for prototyping and engineering. I can see a huge market and need for it there. But the stuff that we can create with, and like, I love watching Jerry's 3D HP. He does some crazy stuff. But how are you going to sell any of that stuff and make money doing it? Can you? Maybe you can, and maybe educate me, but I don't see it. If I wanted to do something like that, and I'm not going to go buy it, I'll buy me a 3D printer and make it myself. But this, I can teach you how to do this, and you can make money. You make good money. Like I said, we just turned $6 into $100. Can you do that with $6 in material? Can you take $6 in filament and turn it into $100? I don't think so. Tell me I'm wrong. Any of you guys out there with 3D printers, can you turn $6 of filament into $100 in your pocket? Can you do it? Tell me. Greg says, you like seeing it, brother. And I'll do that. The laser, it's filthy right now. I need to spend tomorrow just cleaning it. But you guys that didn't come here tonight to watch the laser, you come to learn some stuff. So for those out there who says, "Oh, hey, watch my laser run," I don't see any value in that either. Like here, though, where I was showing you techniques about how to put the skeletons in, save your skeletons in an art library, use that skeleton as a way to put it back in and use it over and over again. That's valuable. You learn something, and you got to see it in real time, and it works. And that's why I did the laser tonight. I wanted to show you that it's not theory, but it works. And I use it. It's factual. When you get a 3D printer, you will be amazed at how many things around the house and for friends that you can find to do. Yeah, but can you make money with it? That's you can have a ball, but can you turn $6 in filament into $100? Bamboo requires a minimum of 100,000 subscribers before they'll send you out a review machine. Yeah, well, I actually talked with Bamboo for a while because that was the one I was looking at. I was looking at a Bamboo, and I was looking at their super high speed, because that's the other thing too is how slow they can be, some of the entry levels and your limitations. So I was looking at their multicolor, super high, fast speed. They're I forget which model it was, but at the time it was their top of the line. They were actually considering it, and they didn't tell me that the 100,000 subscribers was a limitation or a problem, because they were looking at all my analytics and said, okay, well, we like and that may have been the final straw that broke the camel's back, but the other analytics were high enough and impressive enough that they were on the fence and sending me one. But we didn't, and I didn't. And Chris says he's made $75 off of $15 worth of filament. So you can make money with it, but can you do that as often with the printer as you can this? And again, I'm coming from a place of ignorance because I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't have one. I haven't, like I said, I know I can have fun with it, but I don't know that I can make money with it. You can easily add stuff to laser cut and CNC to add value like feet. Oh yeah. Yeah. As with anything, it's not the cost of material as much as it is the hours you spend designing things. Yeah. And you got to put your design time into your cost of your products. And that's where you guys and gals have got an advantage because I do not license my designs. I do not put the qualifiers on my designs that say these are for personal use only. I want you to go onto the website, download the designs so you don't have to go to design them and make and sell as many of them as you can. Get rich, fat, and happy. And then once you make $1,000,000, send me something. You go for it. Make as much as you can and get as fat and rich as you can possibly get. But you don't have to spend the time doing the design work. Not only have I done the design work, I've designed and tested them because every one of my products, every one of the designs I have on there have photos of real world pieces. I've done the homework. I've done the testing for you. And it's unlicensed. Go for it. Just don't sell my designs. Sell the products, but don't sell my designs and don't be giving my designs away. Carl says, I've been using Prussia. I don't know, since not cheap, but great 3D printers. I make more money with 3D printing than wow, Scott, I hear you, brother. I'd love, in fact, I might holler at you and we'll do a one-on-one, and maybe you might want to come on one of the streams and talk about all the stuff that you sell and make and all the stuff you make and sell with your 3D printer. Because like I said, I'm coming from a place of ignorance, and that's not a bad thing. When I'm ignorant. I am ignorant about 3D printing, and to say that I'm ignorant is not a derogatory thing. It's a fact. I am ignorant about 3D printing. So yeah, maybe you could teach me some stuff there. And that's what I meant about using. To see. Yeah, gotcha. Once people will know you have a 3D printer, they line up. I'm sure. You know what I would have to have if I was doing a 3D printer though, because where I see that I could make money with a 3D printer, and I'm wondering how many of you, Greg, is it Greg? Was you? Scott and Chris, do you also use a 3D scanner? Do you use a 3D scanner in your 3D printing world of making money? Because I can see where there is an advantage to making and reproducing parts that are no longer available. Like I've got a JDM Suzuki Cappuccino. It's a Japanese domestic market K car. They don't make them anymore. It's hard to find parts for them. But if I had a 3D scanner and I had the parts, like knobs for the AC or the seatbelt latch or the hoop that it goes through, those things are always breaking or broke and missing. And to be able to scan one that you have and then read and then just say hit a button and print them out and sell those, man, yeah, you could sell them, that kind of stuff, and make money with it. I'm curious if how much stuff Scott makes and sells are actually craft projects, or is it he's real world stuff like that, like missing knobs and different things that I just don't see making money doing arts and crafts with a 3D printer. But I may be wrong. I may be completely wrong. I heard that in order to do 3D printing for money, generally you need to have a print farm. Well, and I think that's probably because of the amount of time that it takes. Because they a lot of those jobs can take forever. And Scott says yes, he does have a scanner. For the first 3D printer, I would recommend either Bamboo or Bamboo was what I was looking at to start with. But I definitely don't make money with the 3D prints, but I have lots of fun making things for friends and family. And he has no scanner, too expensive for a return for me. Yeah, and that's where I see Um, and I think the scanner, and again, I'm coming from a place of ignorance. I just think that a scanner would cut down on a lot of the design time, and especially if you're going to be replicating stuff. And that's where I can see a true need and to be able to scan something and reproduce it and sell it when there's a need for something. I can see making money doing that. I would not want to sit down and have to try and design from scratch a replacement piece that if I could just scan it and be done with it. You could have made an F3, but I bet you I couldn't have done it as cheap. Or it's nowhere near as fast. So, and I didn't post it in the Hobo with Wood. I forget what they call it. I have different groupings of my videos, and I've got one that's just general videos. This week I put in my general videos replacing a F-150 tailgate handle because I had one in the front yard that needed to be replaced. And I said, you know what the heck? I'll make a video on how to do it because they break all the time. People need to know how to do it. And if they don't know what they're doing, they take it apart and they start pulling linkages apart and all kinds of stuff. Now they've got a problem. So I videotaped how to do it and get it done. But that handle cost me $30, fully assembled, ready to install. And, you know, I don't know that I don't know if you could have done that with the 3D printer that inexpensively, but it would have taken a whole lot longer to do than me walking over here to across the road to Napa and getting one off the shelf. So anyway, all right. So let's give this away. We're going to give away plank, and then we're going to do the one that's fully engraved, cleaned up, glued up. And let's do that now. Let's go over to the gotta get it opened up here. Giveaway tool. Choose stream, that stream, and it's gonna be hashtag plank. Start collecting. Put in hashtag plank if you want me to send you my Hobo with Wood plank. And we've got 6 entries in counting. So we'll let that run until the counter stops. And then we'll draw a quick drawing and give this away. And then I'll send this out to somebody. But, and this is another reason to do. I'm going to tell you how this came to be. So I shared with you guys several weeks ago the signs I made for the tip jars at one of the restaurants that's 3 blocks up the street here. They have 3 wooden boxes on their bar that were tip boxes, and they'd taken just a piece of paper and drew on it and with a ballpoint pen that said tips and scotch taped it on the front of all the boxes. Didn't look good. The boxes were not bad, but that just looked cheesy. So I you know what? I come home. I didn't ask anybody. I just came home and made up 3 really nice engraved tip signs that would fit on there. And then I took the finished pieces up there and showed it to the owner. And he's looking at them and the guy said, oh, that's it. And I said, if you're okay with this, I'm going to give these to you. I've got the glue and I'm going to glue them on the boxes, clamp them up and get everything set up. You know what I do? I said, I'll give these to you. I just want to make those tip jars look better. He said, free? I said, yeah. And he said, free's for me. So I glued those up and made those boxes look really, really nice. It cost me, I think I did all 3 signs. I did them, I think, out of 1.5 pieces of the 1200 by 1200. I don't think, so 2 pieces. So I got $4 in that. Gave them the signs, glued them up. But since then, everyone who's worked there has had me design something for them. And I've made, money from those sales. And tonight I delivered plank. And with all of the pieces that I've sold and taken to that restaurant, it's about $300. that I was able to generate by making signs and giving them to the restaurant and advertising what I can do. And when I'm there and I'm listening to people talk, people mention the signs on the tip boxes, and if I'm there, yeah, Hobo made them. Hobo did that. Hobo makes them. So now I'm even get word of mouth advertising, and off of $3 worth of material, I've sold $300 worth of product. So if you're not in the habit of doing that kind of thing, if you're not doing the flag nameplates, go on to hobowithwood.com, go in and get the flag nameplate. It's download for free. All 5 branches of the military logo is included with the download. So you'll have all 5 branches plus the little template for making a nameplate. And you can make those nameplates. They're perfect for the flag cases for the fallen vets. Make those, give them to the funeral homes. Give them away. Gets your name out there, and people talk about you, appreciate you, and little things like that lead to sales. That the one I do the most nameplates for is who actually had me start doing their urns. Their urns they pay me for, and I make good money doing those. So show off your abilities. All right, we're going to draw. The entries are done. I'm going to say hit draw and auto. Almost got Scott and Steve Smith. Steve. Send me your information at hobowithwood@gmail.com. hobowithwood@gmail.com. I'll get this out in the post on Monday, and you will see it then. So we were all over the place tonight. I didn't ever to go back to the wolf. But you've seen how you separate, and normally, or not normally, but a lot of times you may not even have to have done what I was having to do with where that part of that wolf was part of the other pieces, designs around it. The long and the short of it is you select all of the pieces that make that one design and then do an outward offset until you're able to get one solid offset of that whole piece. Doesn't really matter how big you had to go. Actually, it does. If you have to go out 10 millimeters and you try to go out 10 and then back in 9, that ain't going to work. It will, but it'll be funky. But you go out and hopefully you can get it, within 3 to 4 millimeters, one solid line, and then delete everything that was inside of it, keeping just the outer one, and then bring that back down to the desired cut you wanted. And if you wanted it to be exactly the same as the wolf, then you would do an outward offset of, like, there was, 3 millimeters, and I came back 2 for a one outward offset. If you want it to be exact, you would go out 3 and then back in 3, and then it would have been a perfect cutout. And I think that's actually what I did in the piece that I have on the Howling with the Moon. I went out 3, then come back 3, and it cut it out perfect. And then using the offset fill, it filled in all the fur. All right, boys and girls. Sharon, be sure and go back and watch up to the point where I went, "Hey, Sharon, hey," because that's when you came in. And the questions you were asking about is all in that part prior to it. So thank you all for being here. Now, I am going to be, let's see, Chris says, LOL, 9 millimeter offset might be okay if your job is 1 by 1 millimeter. Let's see, I got anything I can show? Do I still have any of that open? Yeah, I do. All right. Actually, let's go over here and look at this. Since we're talking about it and why it works and why it don't work, let's go back over here to the wolf, And this is the offset. I'm going to get rid of it. So this is all of the original artwork that makes up the wolf. If I come out here to this wolf and I do an offset outward, do not delete the original, and let's go ridiculous. See, the larger you get, it loses the curves and the detail. There's 6, and we keep going out. In fact, we'll take it out to where we get rid of all the inward offsets. Nope, there's one right there. So let's go on out one more. There we go. So there's an 11 millimeter offset, and you got some curvature, but you don't have a lot of curves. So let's do not delete, say okay. And then let's do an inward offset of 11 millimeters and say okay. And actually, I should have deleted that one. And now I'm going to take that offset and I'm going to move it over here. Didn't get it. There's the inward, and I'm going to move that offset. So there's that offset. I went out 11 and back in 11. Now here, if I get my offset, and let's start at 1 and zoom in here, and you're looking to see when it's finally all closed together. And we need to go outward. There we go. So we still got separate pieces, but I think it was 3. Yeah, 3, we finally got one constant piece. So 3 outward and say, okay. I need to ungroup it, hold control, select my outer one, and now hit the delete button, get rid of all that extra stuff. Come back, select that one, offset, and come inward this time and delete the one we just created. And so now I've got that. I want to compare that and this. Let's see. I want to do different offset. Well, you already see the detail, but let's put this one on the orange layer and put this one, and now bullseye them. Oh, there you go. So you don't get the rear legs or any of the legs separation that you do in the orange one. So that's why you want to, there's a whole lot more detail of that wolf than you do here. So that's why you want to take it only out far enough to get it fully encapsulated in one piece. Because if you go way too big and then take it back down, you still lose a whole lot. 1 meter, not 1 millimeter. Did I say meter? Oh, gotcha. Okay. 9 millimeter might be all right if your job is 1 meter by 1 meter. I gotcha. All right. So, all right, boys, girls, we're going to wrap it up. We're a little over an hour and a half. Thank you all. In fact, there's 58 of you still here. Don't go nowhere. Stay right where you're at. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding. Ding dong, ding dong, ding, 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 ding. I better hush because YouTube will flag me for copyright. Dashboard, content, live. Okay. All right. StreamYard. Okay. I can't fuss. There's 58 of you still here. And at this time, we have 58 likes. So I bet you, we were up to 69 a minute ago or 70 some, but I'll bet you the 58 of you that are still here are the same 58 that already hit the like button. So thank you and God bless you. That means a ton. Same thing on the videos, the weekly videos. Hit that like button. Even if you're already subscribed, hit that like button. It helps me immensely in the analytics. So I don't get to fuss because you guys have already done it, and gals. So we're going to get out of here, and I'm going to send this plank. You know what? Steve, let's see here. Steve, we already did. She's like, I can't believe I actually won something. Yay. And okay. And he's in Oregon. Okay. So this one's not going across the pond. It's going to Oregon, but Plank's going on his first journey from North Carolina to Oregon. So we're out of here. You guys have a great week. And I'll see you in the funny papers. Good night.